the place where I brought something home. That is why I call it my paranormal nightmare. It's such a beautiful place during the day, but at night, it's the way opposite. It's so beautiful and innocent, but that'll trick you.
For whatever reason, he was grabbed by the throat, and it was terrifying. So there were footsteps that were running down the upstairs hallway right above our heads and down the servant stairs, and they both came up sort of at the same time. Um, but I would definitely pay more attention, for sure.
Do I have a paranormal experience that I could consider a nightmare? Yes, I do. It is the time I went to this abandoned church and graveyard here in Quebec. It is considered in the top 10 lists of the most haunted. It is also the place where I brought something home. That is why I call it my paranormal nightmare. The energy there was extremely strong, I would say. It was stronger than me because I felt it as I crossed the gates. The moment you cross the gates, you feel as if you're in a crowded place and there's a lot of people, but you're the only one there. And while I was there doing my investigation, I was doing the dowsing rods, and you felt that the spirit I was communicating with, I felt the presence and how strong it was when it was crossing the rods and wouldn't uncross them at all. It was really strong. They were stronger than I am physically, that you can feel that. Did I do anything to cause this incident to happen? Well, yes. After my filming, I was taking photos and everything. And this place, like I said before, I can't say it enough. It's such a beautiful place during the day, but at night, it's the way opposite. But I was there during the day, so I felt like I needed more than just video and photo. And, if there was a stand selling souvenirs, I would have bought the whole stand. So since there was nothing like this, I decided to take a handful of rocks and put it in my pocket. And as I'm doing this, I discover that someone lost their gold chain with a gold cross on it. So I picked that up too, but I put it like on the side of the window, like on the windowsill. So if they would ever come back and try and find it, well, it'll be easier for them to find it. And there was also a half burnt white candle and a piece of paper written Madison on it. But the paper was like a homemade recycled paper. It wasn't just like a regular piece of paper. So I picked that up as well and said, how can people just litter? Won't you pick up your garbage when you come and visit? So I had that in my mind, and I said, well, as soon as I said garbage can, I'll put it in the garbage. So I put that in my pockets as well. And I left it at that and continue on taking photos and everything. So I leave from there and looking over my footage because I do everything on my cell phone. All my videos, all my photos are on a cell phone. So, and I'm on my way to my next location to film. So, as I arrive at this place, I come to get out of the car. The cell phone slips out of my pocket and falls in a manhole. So all that footage of this place, like all the activity I got filmed, it was incredible. All the things that I caught, I was sure it was a banger video down the manhole. So I was so disappointed and so depressed. It was unbelievable. And I got home that day after I was done filming and everything, and started to unpack and think about all that footage that I lost, and it was unbelievable. I believe this and stuff. But then I see the rocks, the candle, and the piece of paper. I said, "Oh, I was supposed to throw out the candle and the piece of paper and the rocks. Well, at least I have the rocks as proof that I went there." But I decided to keep the candle and the piece of paper as well with the rocks. Since I lost my footage and everything, well, that was there too. So, and a few days later is where I started to realize that I'm not alone in this room. I see things go by on the side vision. Um, when I do my live streams, sometimes my subscribers would say there's someone standing behind you. We can see it's a lady and a child that is here. The child is probably like 5 or 6 years old. The lady, she's probably in her 40s or something like that. And I was like surprised that, and I was wondering, how did they get here? What happened? How did they attach themselves to me? So then I started thinking that, yeah, and talking with some friends that are in the paranormal field, told me that there was a chance it was those rocks that I brought home, that they followed their rocks up to here, that I would have to return them. But like at first, these spirits were like quiet. They would just like show themselves on my live streams or whatever, or as I'm working, I'd see an orb go by, and but not more than that. But then when it came up to the middle of the winter time, because when I went there, it was like the fall season. It was like the end of the season, and so they were here like all winter. They had a nice warm place at least, but during the winter, like the middle of the winter, there's where it started, like really the nightmare part started, is when I would work here and I'd be by myself, and I felt as if someone was choking me, and I felt like I was getting choked. Or at some points, I would come white as a ghost, and my blood pressure would drop like really low, dangerously low, and come to realize it was the lady spirit. I guess they wanted to go back home or something. So I had to wait until the spring to go there, because this church and graveyard is in the middle of a farm field, and you have to cross the farm field to get to this place. So it's full of snow outside, and I couldn't do anything about it. So I was like trying to talk to them and say, if you can just keep your patience, I will bring back the rocks and everything. As soon as the snow melts, I'll be there and I'll bring it back. So that's what I did. Come springtime, it's the first thing I did. I went there and I brought back the rocks, and I said a prayer, and I said I was sorry and everything like that. But I guess they didn't really accept my apologies or something, because I started filming again and everything, and I lost all the sound on my footage. Like half of the sound was completely gone, and some footage was blurry, And so I was trying to make like a recap video since I lost the first video. And that didn't work out either because I lost like a sound and footage. So I came back home, and a few days later, I realized that they were here still. That I sort of like showed them the way home by taking the rocks, bringing them here, and then bringing back the rocks. Like they know their way home now. So that's what I think that they're doing. They're traveling from one place to another. If it gets too cold, they're here in the room. That's what I say and what I think and what is happening most of the time. You can feel their presence by a drafts of coldness on the side of me when I'm doing my live streams. And as I said, people see them in the back of me. And how would I go differently the next time I go? Well, the next time I go, I will say sorry again and carry full maximum protection, which I did not have the two other times I went. I had no crystals, no nothing with me to protect myself. And that's probably what made it easy for them to follow me home. So, and I won't bring anything else home, no matter what. If it's made out of gold, I don't care. I'm not going to bring it home. What measures did I take to protect myself, like cleansing after or during? Well, that's it. After and during, I had nothing to protect myself. And for when I realized they were here in the house, I tried cleansing this place, this room, the much I know how, my abilities and suggestions from my friends that are in the paranormal and stuff. And it worked for a bit, but they, like I say, they know their way home now. So, but if I would change anything, it would be I would bring my holy water, my crystals, my holy oil, and all the shebang to go back there. That is for sure. It's so beautiful and innocent, but that'll trick you. If I would return to this place in a minute, no problem. I would go back and try again and do another video and say sorry that I did what I did if you recognize me. And yes, this is me. You live at my house during the winter months. For sure, I'd go back for sure, and try to redo my banger video that I had that I lost. Advice to someone that would be going to this place: don't be fooled. Carry all the protection you believe in. Do a prayer before and after, and tell them to stay. It I told them to stay, but they didn't listen, but I had no protection. But next time when I go, I will be fully protected. So don't be fooled by them. They sound like as if there's nothing here or anything, but they're there, they're watching you. So carry all the protection you can.
So the first one, have you ever had an experience in the paranormal field that you would consider to be your paranormal nightmare? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. Just recently, I was at the Chase Manor with 3 other investigators and channel creators, and everybody that knows me knows that I usually film alone, and this is probably why. What happened was my friend Chad went down to the basement to investigate the all bodies room, which is a room where the coroner kept the bodies before viewings. And when he was down there, for whatever reason, he was grabbed by the throat, and it was terrifying. So I was sitting in the parlor with Lorna, the mansion owner, and we were letting the boys investigate. And after he got grabbed in the throat, he went running from one side of the basement to the other to come up the kitchen stairs into the main part of the house where we were. And at the same time, there were footsteps that were running down the upstairs hallway right above our heads and down the servant stairs. And they both came up sort of at the same time. It was very intense. And the most terrifying part was that I was actually in that basement in that exact room about an hour before he went down there. So I'm not sure what happened or why, but I do have a good idea of who it was. The Chase Manor has a resident spirit named Vincent, or Vinny, and he can be quite a jerk if he wants to be. Now, I don't know if Vinny or Vincent was given enough time to judge these boys on whether or not he was going to behave, but for whatever reason, he did not approve of Chad in the basement, I'm assuming. So I'm not quite sure what happened there. The energy of that place is awesome. It's always awesome. I've never had any issues there at Chase Manor. I've been there alone. I've never been grabbed or choked or anything like that, thankfully. I have had Vinny try to take my pocket knife, caught that on camera, and then him running away from me. That was interesting, but Vinny and I definitely have a relationship because every time that I pull out the EVP recorder, he drops a string of F-bombs and then I can't use that footage, so it's pretty funny. But the energy was amazing. We captured some good things before he started down in the basement, which included a few growls, so that should have been our first indication that something wasn't right. Did I do anything to cause the incident, or did it just happen? I didn't do anything to cause the incident, but again, I don't think that he gave Vinny enough time before trying to communicate with Vinny for him to make up his own mind about what was happening. And that's all it takes sometimes. Just have to be aware of your surroundings and who you're talking to and who you're dealing with. So I didn't do anything to cause this incident, no. It just happened. How would I go about it differently next time? I would film alone. I'm just kidding. There's really not much you could do in this situation. Maybe warn him. I don't know. I have an advantage because I know this location and I know the spirits. So it would have been a little bit of a different situation in a place where I wasn't familiar with my surroundings and the spirits. But I would definitely pay more attention, for sure. What measures did I take to protect and cleanse myself during and after? The measures I took to protect myself during the incident was to cling to Lorna, the owner of the manor. She is a world-renowned psychic medium, a clairvoyant. She is a hypnotist, and she owned the manor. She does not own the spirits because you can't really do that, but they have a really great working relationship, and she sort of keeps them in line and vice versa. So when that happened, Lorna was surprised because it's not very often stuff like this happens, but she was able to sort of calm everybody down, spirits included. But when that happened, when he came running up the stairs with the fingerprint claw marks on his neck, I definitely clung to Lorna. We were in the parlor letting the boys investigate, and after that, we all sort of stuck together. Would I return to this place or have you return? Yes, absolutely. In fact, I'm scheduled to return this weekend. I'm very excited. I've never had issues like this in the past there. The spirits have all been very kind and very good to me. So yes, I definitely would return. I would be more careful about going into the basement alone, and especially in that all bodies room. But on the other hand, you're not going to be able to keep me out of it. So we'll have to see. Yes, my advice to someone going to this place or any place of this nature is to listen to your gut, listen to your equipment, listen to your surroundings, listen to your other investigators, and just play it safe. And, it's very, very rare that something like this happens without warning. You almost always have a warning that something's wrong, or somebody's unhappy. These things don't just happen out of the blue usually. So if you're getting growls or harsh words across your equipment, or you're just not feeling right, it's probably a good idea to start to head out, because they're letting you know. And if you don't listen, they have ways of getting your attention. So My advice is just to pay attention. Pay attention, and if they ask you to do something within reason, then do it.